Hello, and welcome back to the Umbrella Academy. In this lecture, we will discuss D and L configuration of sugars. The DL system isn't a new system. It's the old system. It predates Kohn-Ingold-Prelog's R&S system of describing absolute configuration. But it is still used for biological systems like sugars and amino acids. Before discussing the actual shortcut method of assigning of D and L configuration, let us first understand how this system was developed by chemists. Around 1880 to 1900, carbohydrate chemists made great advances in determining the structures of natural and synthetic sugars. They found ways to convert smaller sugars into larger sugars. This was achieved via a process called chain lengthening. Similarly, the larger sugars could be converted into smaller sugars via a process called chain shortening or degradation. For example, a 4-carbon sugar called tetrose can be converted into a 5-carbon sugar called pentose by adding 1 carbon atom. This can in turn be converted into a 6-carbon sugar called hexose by adding 1 carbon atom. The reverse process of chain shortening or degradation can convert hexose into pentose by removing 1 carbon. And pentose can be degraded into tetrose by removing 1 carbon. On the similar grounds, a 3-carbon sugar called triose can be lengthened into tetrose, which can in turn be degraded into triose. And remember that there is only one aldotriose, called glyceraldehyde. These chemists observed that they could start with any of the naturally occurring sugars, and degradation to glyceraldehyde always gave the dextrorotatory enantiomer of glyceraldehyde. Some synthetic sugars, however, degraded to the levorotatory enantiomer of the glyceraldehyde. Carbohydrate chemists started using the Fischer-Rosanoff convention. According to this convention, sugars that degraded to plus glyceraldehyde were denoted as D, and those that degraded to minus glyceraldehyde were designated as L sugars. Although these chemists did not know the absolute configurations of any of these sugars that time, the D and L relative configurations were useful to distinguish the naturally occurring D sugars from their unnatural L-enantiomers. We now know that this is the absolute configurations of plus glyceraldehyde. And this is the absolute configuration of minus glyceraldehyde. These can be converted into Fischer projections like this. So that in case of plus glyceraldehyde, hydroxyl is on the right side. And in case of minus glyceraldehyde, hydroxyl group is on the left side. These structures serve as the configurational standards for all monosaccharides. Now let us examine what actually happens in the process of degradation of sugars. Take this 6-carbon sugar called glucose. Degradation removes the aldehyde carbon atom as carbon dioxide molecule and converts it into 5-carbon sugar called arabinose. In this process, the first asymmetric carbon is oxidized into aldehyde group. Similarly, if you degrade this 5-carbon sugar, the aldehyde carbon is removed as carbon dioxide, and it is converted into 4-carbon sugar called erythrose, which can in turn degrade, via the same sequence, into 3-carbon sugar called glyceraldehyde. This was dextrorotatory form of the glyceraldehyde. As per Fischer-Rosanoff convention, the higher sugars which degraded into plus glyceraldehyde were designated as D sugars. Notice that the asymmetric carbon atom in this glyceraldehyde molecule is actually the remains of the bottom asymmetric carbon in the Fischer projection of higher carbon sugars. Thus it is the asymmetric carbon, farthest from the carbonyl group, that determines which enantiomer of glyceraldehyde is formed by successive degradations. We now know that the plus enantiomer of glyceraldehyde has its OH group on the right in the Fischer projection, as shown here. Therefore, sugars of the D series must have the OH group of the bottom asymmetric carbon on the right in the Fischer projection. This gave rise to new convention that sugars having OH group of the bottom asymmetric carbon on the right are designated as D sugars. And those having this OH on the left are designated as L sugars. Since plus glyceraldehyde has only one chiral center, and OH on that is on the right side in the Fischer projection, therefore it is also designated as D plus glyceraldehyde. Thus, to sum up, we can remember that sugars of the D series have the OH group of the bottom asymmetric carbon on the right in the Fischer projection. And sugars of the L series have the OH group of the bottom asymmetric carbon on the left in the Fischer projection. For example, this molecule has two asymmetric carbons. Out of these, this bottom asymmetric carbon is farthest from the most oxidized aldehyde carbon. And OH on this carbon is on the right side, therefore it is called D-threose. Similarly, this keto sugar has OH on the bottom asymmetric carbon on the right side, hence it is called D-ribulose. Similarly, this is called D-xylose. The enantiomer of D sugar is always an L sugar. Therefore, the mirror image of this looks like this, having OH of bottom asymmetric carbon on the left side, and is therefore called L-threose. Likewise, the enantiomer of this is called L-ribulose. And this is L-xylose. Consider this molecule. Normally we have to keep most oxidized carbon at the top. But in this both sides are same. This molecule is called tartaric acid. Since the bottom asymmetric carbon has hydroxyl group on the right, therefore it is called D-tartaric acid. Notice that even if this molecule is rotated in the page by 180 degrees to bring bottom carboxyl group at the top, we get the same molecule D-tartaric acid. The non-superimposable mirror image of D-tartaric acid looks like this. So that bottom asymmetric carbon now has hydroxyl group on the left side. It is called L-tartaric acid. This molecule after 180 degrees rotation in the page also gives the same L-tartaric acid. Most naturally occurring sugars have the D configuration, and most members of the D family of aldoses, up to 6 carbon atoms, are found in nature. Remember that the D or L configuration does not tell us which way a sugar rotates the plane of polarized light. This must be determined by experiment. Some D sugars have plus rotations, and others have minus rotations. Same is the case with L sugars. Thanks for your patience. If you don't want to miss out important lectures, then subscribe and press bell icon for notifications of new lecture uploads.